Welcome back, guys, to another episode here at Hangar 4 RC. I hope you enjoy this one. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Axial Wraith Poison Spider, the Jeep Wrangler edition. We're going to be we're going to show you that out of the box and everything. We'll get her out of the box for you so you can see what she looks like. Go over some of the points with it, a couple of the weak points that we found, and go from there. In this video series, guys, for the Wraith, we're going to be doing a lot more of how to upgrade it without completely going bankrupt doing so. If you've watched a lot of the other videos you're watching, guys, they're dropping $100, $200 on tires alone. And then they're dropping another couple hundred on wheels and inserts and this, shocks, springs, linkages, this, that, and the other. They're doing all these different things. Well, guys, you don't have to do that. These other guys, there's a bunch of videos out there where the guys are telling you that if you're not willing to do this, there's no point in doing anything at all. You shouldn't have bought a Wraith. They basically tell you all the other upgrades are worthless. Guys, that's just completely not true. Bone stock out of the box, yes, it does have some issues, but other than that, it's a great little crawler. I mean, there are simple things you can do to it that are either free or are under $10 to do, guys. They're real simple, real easy to do, and you don't have to spend a ton of money on it. So we're going to be going through with our videos here. First one going to be just basically out of the box here. We'll get out of the box here in a minute, guys, and going over the basic stuff. Basically, what it can do, what it can't do. Then we're going to have a run video showing you what it can do compared to a couple other different little vehicles, things like that. So let's go ahead, get her out of the box, and get this going. All right, guys, we got her out of the box. Got her here. As you can tell in the picture here on the right, and the actual one here on the left, very nice. Obviously, the one on the left we've ran. Just putting it through its paces, seeing how well it actually works and everything compared to what all the other videos out there say it does. And to be truthfully honest, guys, it works just as advertised. She is very top heavy. She is not very fast. She peaks out at right around 10 miles an hour max with the stock gearing. As you see here, this is an actual beadlock. The wheels are not glued in there at all. Now, given these beadlocks aren't the best beadlocks, they're lacking a little bit in actually gripping the sidewalls and hanging on. We did pop one when we were out crawling around having fun. We did tear one out. It was very easy to put back in. You just have to undo the 6 screws across the back and reset everything, and it was good to go. And that's all I could really think to say about the beadlocks. I mean, they're real easy to put together, real easy to handle. I mean, the tires are a very nice tread pattern. They're fairly grippy. They are, fairly, malleable. I mean, they are kind of soft. They're not very soft. I mean, I have softer tires. A lot of this also has to do with the foam inserts in it. One suggestion that I could make to improve this, if you're going to stick with just this without upgrading the tires right away, is pull this apart, pull the foam insert out, and notch it. Cut your insert, make it look like a gear. If I can find one that I have, I'll throw it up here for you. But basically, if you think of a cog or a metal gear, you're going to cut V's every so often throughout it, and it's going to allow the tire to flex a little bit more. As you crawl up and over things, it'll make it a little bit more squishy and whatnot. Now, as you can tell here, we have the stock shocks up in here. A good view here. They're not too bad. They are plastic towers, or shock bodies are plastic, but they are metal rams, or the shock bottom is metal. They're very nice. They're very robust. If you know, to adjust the performance, I mean, there are different slots in there that you can adjust to make it, you know, to adjust your suspension and things like that. You got a couple, 3 different little positions in there, and the suspension will perform differently based on the position in which you have the shock towers placed. They are also threaded shock bodies. Back up in here, if you look, it's a threaded shock body. So, you know, you can either make it sit very tall with very little slouch, or I can't remember what what everyone else calls it. Droop, there we go, droop. Droop is basically when you pick it up and how much it squats out. You know, there's not a lot here. I think you have a little bit more in the front than you do the rear. But, you know, it's not bad. I mean, it's all adjustable straight out of the box. Your stock linkage, it does limit your ground clearance to about here is going to be your highest point, and then it just drops off as it comes out. They do make aftermarket ones that are metal they're considered high clearance, and all it is it adjusts these, and they follow the drive line, or the drive axles here, or the drive line. We'll just go with the drive line. It follows this a lot smoother, but it still does provide plenty of protection for it. So that way, as you crawl over anything, it doesn't smash the drive line. You're not banging the drive line across anything. Onto the front here, you have that nice, pretty Tactic servo in there. It's not that bad of a servo, guys. We've ran this one for a while. We haven't had any real issues. It's not as high powered as we'd like it to be. It does lack a little bit as far as for having the push to turn when you've pressed up against something. It's not very strong. So that, as always, is one of the first things you want to upgrade. And I would honestly say go out and spend a couple of dollars and replace the servo horn. Get the metal one that clamps on. It's a much nicer setup. It's a lot stronger, a lot more durable, and it has a little bit of bling to the front. And it's only a couple of dollars. It's very much worth it to upgrade to that. On my other Wraith that I have, I did upgrade to a high-tech digital all Metal Gear high torque servo. It performs phenomenally, guys. I've never had an issue with it. It doesn't create any problems. It actually does allow me, as it's pinned up against one side, to help push the wheels through the turns. Now, the one downfall here is you're missing your lights. But that's not really that big of a problem, because it actually gives you a spot to mount a winch. The winch, very nice. If not, you know, you can always get the light kit and add that light kit later. It adds a little bit of like niceness. I mean, especially if you're going to be doing some nighttime crawling, like playing around in the dark, it does light the way quite a bit. Mine, I have a light rack on top with lights through the front end. You know, and it actually does provide a lot of light. I also have mine set up where they are ran on a separate battery. So that way I'm not bogging out, I'm not drawing power off of the main battery. So that way I get longer run times. The biggest complaint we have on the front end here is the same one everyone else has, is this piece right here, your steering linkage, all the way across front. This one piece is very flexible. It is definitely a downfall. It is something I would recommend upgrading or doing a modification to. Later on in the series, we are going to show you a cheap way to upgrade this one, and it's for under $5. We're going to show you how to upgrade this whole thing to make it totally worthwhile for as cheap as possible. And it's still be able to compete with the guys that have spent hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on their rigs. But what I mean by it's a weak spot is you can literally grab the wheels and fold them in on each other. And that whole system right there flexes. Let's see if I can get you out here on a better angle. show you what I'm talking about. There we go. See how that thing just moves? It just flexes. There are really nifty ways to stiffen that up and make it a lot tougher. So that way it's more usable. Because if you're pinned up against something here and you go to try and turn into it, it's going to just let the one wheel go. Or vice versa. It's very, very weak, guys. If you're not careful, it will actually break over time. So this is always the first thing I've always told everyone. If you're going to buy one of these, this is the first thing to upgrade. Second thing to upgrade, I would say, would be the servo. Go with one of like a Metal Gear high torque digital servo. I say digital because they're a lot easier to program as far as for stops, and they're a lot quicker to react than the old school, older ones. Continuing on, over here, there's not much else. It's pretty much the same thing on both sides. I mean, different decals, same setup, same look, same tires, same rims, same everything. Here in the back is where you have your battery compartment. Is up high, up here in the back. That is actually where the battery sits. Unfortunately, it's a nice place to hold it, but it ultimately brings your center of gravity up high and back. You do want to get your center of gravity down as low as you can and forward, so that way when you start into a steep climb, it's not wanting to sit down on the back end. It's actually going to help hold the front end down onto the trail. Now, the Wraith does come, as you can tell here, there's no real frame here. This whole undercarriage bolts onto the cage, which is ultimately the body. Unlike the SCX-10 trail honchos, the Dingo, their other line of crawlers, scale crawlers, they have full frames that everything is attached to. This one does not. This is all basically attached to this right here. This giant skid plate. These are your motor mounts that unbolt the motor and transmission from it all. It's a real nice design and real nice setup. It makes it a lot more flexible, a lot more torque. I mean, this thing has a ton of flex in it. Let's see. It drives my brother nuts that they'll do this, because you can set this on top of a Monster can, a Rockstar can, and all your wheels will stay on the ground. My brother hasn't figured out how I do that, and I didn't want to tell him that, hey, it's just how it is bone stock. It has that much flex into it. He runs a SCX-10 trail honcho. So when he saw my Wraith do this, sitting on top of a Monster can or a Rockstar can, he was shocked. He was a little upset. So, you've got a ton of flex in the front end, the back end. I mean, ton of flex here. I mean, you can really get this thing torqued and twisted up, and it's gonna grip. Now, easy ways to change that is going to be lower your shock links. If you lower the shock links, you'll bring it down further, and it'll give you a little bit more flex, as well as changing out these mounts here. Now, you don't have to change these out. Those are perfectly fine. I ran the ones on mine for several months and never had a problem with them. And it was perfectly fine. The one thing we did notice here with when it articulates is it brings the wheel up into the body. See if you can get this to see it here. This is all touching. So on mine, I've trimmed the fenders back a little bit, along with in the kit or in the box, it does come with extenders for your wheels to push them out a little further. I did add those on and they pushed them out a little further because I did put bigger wheels on. So I was really getting into my body. So I brought the wheels out further through the stuff that was all provided in the kit to get it away from the body so it wasn't shredding the body. Your servos, your ESC is right here. I'm not sure if you can see it. Is right here. And your receiver and everything sits right here in this box. Now guys, they say it's waterproof. Trust me, it's not waterproof. It drives me nuts that they market them saying that they're waterproof when they're really not. They are water resistant. the best you can do is take a big gulp thing of water and splash the underside. And that's it. Anything more than that, you're going to really start to ruin your electronics. The servo or the receiver box, it's real nice, but it's not waterproof. If anything, it's going to let water in, and it's going to let the water sit there. And you will corrode and rust out the receiver. It's not good, guys. I've seen it happen. Guys thinking they're, they hear the commercials, they talk to the guys at the hobby store, they read the box, and everything says waterproof. And they will run it up to where literally the water comes up to here, where all you see is the top of it rolling through the water, and they wonder why after about 6 feet the thing stops. And they get all upset. They're like, oh my God, it's broke. I don't understand what happened. Well, honestly what happened is you just ruined the motor, you ruined the ESC, and you ruined your receiver. Surprisingly though, the servo is actually pretty waterproof. It can be underwater. It is very well sealed up. So that's about the only thing you're not going to ruin. But continuing on, the body comes off with 3 screws. You got this screw, and this screw, and the exact same on the other side. And this whole piece lifts up and off, and you have full access to everything. It's actually really nice. I mean, it's very well built, very well put together. To take a look here on the inside for you, if you look down in here, it's very scaled. This here would be, speakers for a boombox and a stereo and compartments. You got shifters. You got your transmission shifter over there. You got your transfer case shifters, your steering wheel, and the nice black seats here. Let me bring this around over here. These seats in the original Wraith were gray. They did do an update and changed them to the black ones to add a little bit of color variation throughout the inside. Because people were kind of disappointed that the seats blended with the center console. So they changed it up a bit. Everyone's like, oh, they got reclining seats, they move. Oh, I got a reclining seat, but they don't recline. They're not really reclining seats, guys. It's just how they're put together. It's 2 screws holding the seat together. Of course, it's going to have some movement to it. It's not perfect. As you look here on the dashboard, down in here, you got your GPS, you got a CB, some bunch of gauges. You got your other gauges here for the steering wheel, and down and in, and right back there, that is your on-off switch, guys. People always ask me where the hell it is, and it's literally right next to the steering wheel. It's a little bit of a pain to get to, but it keeps it hidden out of the way, and it's not too bad to get to. You just reach in through the front here, and you can click it on and off. Other than that, I mean, you can get a lot more detail from other reviews. I don't really want to go too deeply into it, but you do get the lock differentials and the lock transmission that keep everything turning in one direction at all times. So you get a lot of grip, a lot of everything. Overall, guys, the Poison Spider is a very nice crawler. Right out of the box, it's not too bad. A few upgrades I would recommend doing that we will be showing you in other videos in the series here for the Spider or the Wraith is a battery forward conversion. Basically, you're going to move your ESC to somewhere else in the vehicle. Typically, people put it here in the passenger seat. So you still have you can still reach around. It's still getting plenty of ventilation. And put the battery right up in here in the front. The one downside to it is you have no easy way to get to it. So like I said, we're going to be covering how to do this in a later video, which will be an entire video of itself. We're going to hinge the hood, put the battery up there, pin the hood and everything. It'll be real simple, real easy, and it's a really nice conversion. It brings your weight way forward. With the exception of, putting if somebody figures out a way to put the battery right here at the very front of the vehicle, please let me know. I mean, because I really enjoy my Wraith, and I really like having the weight as far forward as I can get it, because it does help with the climbs. I have added a lot of metal components to my personal Wraith to make it heavier and lower the center of gravity. This Wraith, obviously, guys, I keep referring to another Wraith as my own personal one. This one is not mine. This is a friend's of mine. He keeps it here at my house because he doesn't want his wife to know. She gets upset when he buys RC stuff. So we hide it here at my house. My wife doesn't mind, and I don't think she really knows what I have and what I don't have. But back to upgrades. Upgrades, guys, upgrades. We're going to be changing this. I will show you the one I have on mine in a later video when we are upgrading this one. We are going to do the cheapest way possible. It's under $5. It is a little time consuming and a little messy, but like I said, I'll get into that into another video. So for right now, guys, that's all we got on this one. So let's get this thing out onto the trail and show you how she acts. All right.
My dog up on the roof, and good God, why's my car out in the pool? All I remember was a phone call. Now the party's on, somebody knocking at my door. I don't know what the hell went on around here last night, but now I'm picking up beer cans. What a mess, oh man, who's that passed out in the yard? All that's left in the fire pit's one of my lawn chairs and a piece of siding on my barn. Somebody doing donuts must have hit the mailbox, cause it's laying out there in the road. There's a foot in the bathroom, a hog in the kitchen, a dude on my couch with a bloody nose. I don't know what the hell went on around here last night, but we must have had a good